One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.
John David Wicker from San Diego State is on One Question for the first time, and his Aztecs, of course, are coming off a big win at home against Stanford. I think I saw a stat maybe from Dennis Dodd over the weekend that football in the last 27 games is 24-3. Am I getting that one right?
I believe that is correct. We're on a nice roll. We've won 3 straight games against the Pac-12, so we're really excited about that as well.
Yeah, and you don't have any time to kind of let your guard down because you go to Air Force this weekend, which we know that can be a tough place to play. And then you host the Northern Illinois team who just beat Nebraska. So not that you can ever take a break on an opponent in college football, but you guys certainly can't. But big momentum, and clearly I think the place to start this conversation is how do you leverage a win like this and back-to-back wins over Arizona State and Stanford at the box office with your sponsorship team, and just overall momentum of your athletic department. Tell me what you guys have been working on like the last 48 hours since the Stanford game ended.
Obviously a lot of excitement in town, and it goes back to last year with what Donnell Pumphrey did, and, in the mix for the, at least Heisman discussion out there, all-time leading rusher of the NCAA, and parlayed that into a great tagline. Our tagline going in this year, one city, one team. As the Chargers left, we signed Rocky Long to an extension. We knew we had a great home schedule coming up. So we've been out really pushing one city, one team to the market, and it's been extremely well received. And then, you open the year with a win at home against Davis, and then go to Arizona State. A lot of energy about that. Win that game, and people really start believing. And you bring in a Stanford team that, we're chasing Stanford in the sense that they've been to 8 straight bowl games. We've been to 7 straight bowl games. So they're the one team in California that's been a little more successful than we have. And to beat them was phenomenal. It's as much energy as I've seen in the crowd. It was a blackout game, and unfortunately we had a blackout in the fourth quarter as we were driving to ultimately win the game, which made life a little interesting. But people loved it. It felt like a rock concert because everybody got their phones out and turned their flashlights on and started the "I Believe" chant. So much energy. So now we do have to capitalize on that. Going to Air Force, we're ranked now again, first time since the end of last season. Win that game, and we really feel like we can take that momentum. We'll continue pushing one city, one team. We've got Rashad Penny, who, he should be in the Heisman conversation as well, as dynamic a runner as he is. So we'll start pushing all these different storylines. And again, people, recognizing that Northern Illinois just beat Nebraska, played in the Orange Bowl in 2013. It's a quality program coming in. So I feel like we've captured the imagination of the city, and now it's on us to continue, obviously winning and getting people to the stadium.
Yeah, leveraging success and not just success as a whole, but the timing of success. It feels like, and I'm sitting a long way from San Diego, California, but as an observer of this industry and the sports industry as a whole, it feels like you guys are at this tipping point, right? You've got this highly successful football program. The Chargers have left the market. Of course, there's a lot of dialogue in the trades about what's going to happen with your stadium situation, and we'll get to that. But is that the same inclination or feeling you guys have internally that you might be right on the edge of capturing an entire, top 10 marketplace, top 15 marketplace with the story of what's happening with football?
Yeah, honestly, we look back and we've got a bit of history to help us, just as we look back at our basketball program back in the 2010-11 year when we made our Sweet 16 run. We beat Gonzaga on national TV, and everybody kind of woke up and said, okay, hey, maybe San Diego State's for real. And then how we leveraged that through the rest of the season to build. The team did great. They won games. And then, the rest of the staff did a great job of getting the city engaged. it's kind of like that. So we're going to, go back and look at all the different things that we did there, knowing that this football program can potentially do the same thing this year. Is that Gonzaga win, like our Stanford win here, and we go on this great run and everybody's really engaged. And it's fun to see the city embracing us, because there is that bitter taste of the Chargers leaving. And, we've got a winner, we've been a winner, and now the entire city can rally around San Diego State. And, I think it's right at 60% of our living alumni are in the Southern California region. So there's a reason for them to be, there's pride now that they can, wherever it is, they can go to work or whatever it is and say, hey, San Diego State beat Stanford this weekend. And, we're in the top 25 and those types of things.
Is there a revenue number, even if you ballpark it, through the end now of the 2017 football season that you think could be added on top of your projections going into this fiscal year?
I think I don't know off the top of my head it'll be so hard to say because depending on what you do the rest of the season. But we had we made budget and then some this past weekend for what we had thought for the Stanford game. We did a great job. We broke our all-time gross revenue number for a single game this past weekend. So we're really excited about that. So we'll definitely see an uptick in revenue, moving throughout the season, especially if we keep doing what we're doing.
Let's talk about the stadium situation a little bit, and I'm curious to get your feedback on maybe the most challenging aspect within city and power politics in San Diego in terms of what happens with Qualcomm, what you guys want to do. Of course, there's the soccer group who has some plans that seem to be here and there. What's the biggest challenge maybe from a messaging standpoint right now that you face?
Our the biggest thing is what's going to happen after the 2018 season. That's when our lease runs out. We've been having, good discussions with the city on what a lease extension, might look like so that we could potentially, my goal is to have a lease extension through the end of the 2022 season. That would take care of, us and our desire to build a stadium, hopefully in Mission Valley, by what would end up being 6 years, the beginning of a sixth football season. You should be able to build a stadium by then. And even if the soccer initiative were to win, they're going to have to build a stadium as well. And they would need to keep, San Diego Stadium or Qualcomm open in case they didn't get a stadium built in time. As you look at what happened to Atlanta United this year, playing at Bobby Dodd and then having to move 2 games because they had no place to play. So I feel like we're going to be able to get, come to some resolution with the city, and it's a partnership with them. And, this past week, they got a naming rights sponsor for the stadium, which we've been telling them, I've been telling the city all along, we can make money on the stadium now because the Chargers are gone. The Chargers used to keep all of that revenue. I want to go out and make revenue that we can share and make the city better, make San Diego State better. And you get a naming rights deal, 14 months, $500,000 from San Diego County Credit Union. And all of a sudden it's kind of an eye opener. Oh, okay. We can make some money. Now, if we can keep it open through the end of the 2022 season, you've got a greater opportunity to keep generating more revenue because people say, okay, I can invest in something that's going to be open for 5 years.
How much of a commitment of your, let's say, weekly schedule is now accounted for dealing with all these stadium dynamics?
I used to call it's like high tide and low tide. During low tide, it's about 50% of my time. During high tide, it's 100% of my time. And I would argue for the last probably month or so, it's pretty much been consistently high tide. It's a lot of time. Fortunately, I've, coming back to San Diego State after, being here for 4 years and not being gone very long, there hasn't been a whole lot of staff turnover. And we have a great staff on board, so it really leans heavily on everyone else in the building to kind of make sure the day-to-day is happening as it should. And, I've been concentrating, more on Mission Valley and what that looks like. And, at times you bring different staff members in depending on what it is you're working on.
Yeah, and I'm always interested to ask athletic directors who have a presidential situation that's in transition, and now you're dealing with, I mean, a pretty daggone high profile situation in a facility, your premier facility situation. Who on the university side do you connect the dots with as you guys kind of go to the marketplace for your next plan?
But it's funny, kind of going back to the presidential transition. One of my talking points at the beginning was on day 46, the Chargers left. On day 100, the president of the university announced he was leaving, and on day 134, future Hall of Fame basketball coach decides to retire. And I was like, good Lord, what did I get myself into? You know, it hadn't even been 150 days yet. But we've been fortunate. We had a good, from the university standpoint, we had a core group of people that were working on the whole Mission Valley dynamic. And when Dr. Hirschman decided to leave, obviously that core group stayed together. And then our interim president is Sally Roush, who was our vice president for business and financial affairs for 20 plus years up until 3 years ago. So she knows all the players in the city, knows most of the players on campus. So she was basically able to step in and didn't need a whole lot of catch up to understand what was going on. So that's been huge for us, that you have someone that basically, you know, knows the game plan and the game field and who everybody is. And so she basically took off running, and that's been great for us as we move forward. And hopefully we'll have majority of decisions out of the way by the time a new president steps on campus next summer.
I mean, we know the daily schedules of athletic directors are incredibly intense across the nation, but those three events in your first 150 days, I won't use the word unprecedented because I don't have enough context, but a challenge, a major challenge. I mean, do you have a little like cot in the office right now?
I've spent a couple nights on the couch. That is true. Yeah, it was, you know, fortunately coming in and knowing my staff, knowing everyone across the university, knowing a lot of key players in the city, I think has been a large reason for, you know, me feeling like we've had a pretty successful first, 9 or 10 months now. Being able to move things along. An AD coming in that would have had to learn everybody in the building, who the players are on campus, all of that, it would have been a much larger challenge with everything going on. And I mean, when I say the Mission Valley stuff has really, I mean, that's probably been 75% of my time overall over the past 9 months. It'd be really hard to figure the rest of it out. So I feel very fortunate that, you know, I stepped into the situation that I did, and that I know everyone, and you know, we've gotten a lot of support across campus, a lot of support in the community for what we're doing, and that's made it easy as well. Well, I won't say easy, but much easier to handle.
And that's today's One Question, brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. One Question is designed to give D1 Ticker subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences. One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.